The Friday, June 13th installment of Beyond the Gates ignites the simmering tensions that have been crackling beneath Fairmont Crest all week, melding past and present into a single, relentless surge that refuses to grant any of the central players a moment's respite. And it begins with Martin Richardson, whose carefully curated aura of composure fractures the instant local news updates spill across his phone announcing that a neighborhood bodega has been robbed and its owner beaten, an incident that uncannily mirrors the shadow-drenched crime Martin witnessed in his own youth, the one he has never confessed to anyone but the ceiling above his childhood bed. The reports details jagged glass, the shouted threats, the dull metallic clang that echoes long after the assailants flee, detonate a flashback so vivid that Martin's knuckles whiten on the steering wheel as he pulls into the country club lot. Brick facades blur into the sinewy figures of two masked strangers, and the echo of a gun hammer cocking ricochets in his ears until present-day traffic horns snap him back to reality. Sweating through his collar despite the early summer breeze, he phones his mother, Nicole Richardson, whose voice has always been both bomb and alarm bell. She urges therapy again. He nearly agrees, but the call ends when a sleek black sedan glides past, its tinted window rolling down just enough for Martin to glimpse the reflection of his own startled eyes staring back. Inside that sedan are Vernon Dupree and the so-called mystery man who has tailed Martin all week, a figure whose silhouette Martin half recognizes from those guilt-soaked dreamscapes yet cannot quite name. And as Martin strides into the clubhouse, he feels the weight of that gaze rooting him to the polished hardwood like a pinned insect. Still, the evening's charity gala leaves him no room for panic. He must smile, shake hands, pretend the night air hasn't tightened around his lungs. He signs a check for the Youth Sports Initiative, but while the band's jazz notes spiral overhead, his mind replays that forgotten alleyway, the chrome glint of a revolver. The shattering plea he did not answer, the blood seeping between sidewalk cracks like dark vines, and he wonders if the stranger outside nostrily knows the secret he buried with the night itself. Across town, Ashley Morgan paces her loft kitchen, her fingertips drumming the edge of a chipped cobalt mug, her thoughts fixed on Derek Baldwin, the town's freshly transferred fire lieutenant whose easy grin once seemed to match hers beat for beat yet now feels rehearsed, like a rehearsal of a rehearsal, an echo in a canyon that no longer answers back. When Derek moved in 3 weeks ago, boxes became islands of optimism. Now they're barricades marking territory neither wants to surrender. Derek's lead shifts, the smoke-stained gear abandoned by the door, the cryptic texts he silences when she enters the room. Each small fracture fuses into a fault line that splits their kitchen tiles metaphorically in two. And Ashley hears that crack every time Derek offers one of his dismissive everything's fine shrugs. Tonight she intended homemade lasagna, but the sauce scorches while her mind loops last night's phone call she half over Harderack, whispering, "I can't let her find out," and now every rattling window pane feels like proof their foundation is crumbling. Ashley pictures confronting him at the gala, imagines the glittering chandeliers reflecting her accusation, but part of her fears that speaking her doubt aloud will crystallize it irreparably. She scrolls through their earliest photos, sun-dappled hikes, laughter caught mid-breath in a juxtaposition with their present uneat slices her like paper cuts, small but stinging. When Derek finally appears at the doorway, cheeks smeared with soot from a call he swears went sideways, Ashley notes the telltale imprint of lipstick dark, not her shade faint but undeniable, on his collar. She says nothing, yet the silence roars. He kisses her forehead, misreads her stiff posture as stress, and heads to shower. Water pounds tile, and Ashley's conviction hardens. If he won't explain, she will uncover the truth herself, even if that truth detonates everything they've built. Emotional detonations, however, are something Chelsea Hamilton is learning to navigate like a tightrope walker during a hurricane, for the neurologist doctor. Madison Montgomery has ushered her into a territory where intellect and attraction intertwine until she is dizzy from the spin. They met during a volunteer clinic shift, Chelsea organizing patient charts, Madison sweeping in with the calm authority of a surgeon yet the curiosity of a child dissecting sunlight through a prism. By midweek they had agreed to dinner at Bistro Verde, a decision Chelsea rationalized as casual until Madison's laughter carved new constellations across the restaurant's low-lit ceiling and Chelsea realized she was mapping them all. Terrified and electrified by how swiftly she pictured an entire future. Now Friday night hovers, Chelsea's pulse drumming faster than the rainfall streaking her windshield as she waits outside Madison's townhouse. Each drop tapping glass sounds like a question. Are you ready to feel this much? Madison answers by opening the passenger door herself, umbrella aloft, eyes incandescent. Conversation soon slides from hospital gossip to childhood regrets. And by the time they reach the gala, they have traded confessions like rare coins. Chelsea's fears she never outrun the chaos of her parents' fragmented marriage. Madison's struggle to balance her savior complex with self-care. Inside the club, strings swell, champagne circulates, and Madison brushes a stray curl from Chelsea's cheek in a gesture that is both tender and devastating. Chelsea's internal alarm bells clang. She is plummeting to fast. The ground foggy, but Madison's regard is steady, and Chelsea feels something inside her unclench, a lock turning toward possibility. Yet peril waits, because Vernon Dupree, partner in Madison's research venture, spots the pair, approaches with a sugar-laced greeting that veils barbed concern, warning Madison of funding concerns that could jeopardize the clinic expansion. Chelsea watches Madison's smile slip, replaced by the clinical mask she wears in surgery, and realizes love's path for them may win through professional minefields that threaten more than hearts. As night deepens, these three threads twist tighter. Martin drifts onto the balcony seeking air, only to find the mystery man already there, cigarette ember glowing like a demon's eye. The stranger utters Martin's childhood nickname. Only a handful. Nathan flicks the cigarette into the dark like a spent secret, promising they will finish their conversation soon. Inside, Ashley arrives, lips painted the color she saw on Derek's collar, ready to unmask him publicly. But she freezes as Derek strides across the floor, followed by a woman in a City Fire polo. Ho thanks him for covering her shift and returns the protective neck shroud she had borrowed. Ashley's jealousy curdles into shame, yet before she can breathe relief, Derek's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number reading second alarm. Blazino witnesses. He pales, pockets the phone, and tells Ashley he must leave. She senses a lie, decides to tail him, destiny pivoting in her stiletto's twist. Elsewhere, Chelsea and Madison slip onto the veranda to avoid Vernon's fiscal fears. Madison lets vulnerability bleed through her professionalism, admits she's terrified to anchor herself to anyone when her career demands unpredictable tides. Yet Chelsea, voice trembling but resolute, vows she is not afraid of storms if they sail together. Madison kisses Herded softly, but with the urgency of a vow, and for a heartbeat Chelsea forgets every obstacle, every headline that could brand them the clinic scandal instead of its healers. Back inside, the power flickers an overloaded circuit, a summer surge, or a metaphor made real, and in that momentary darkness Martin's past and present collide as a scream rattles the ballroom. Vernon, clutching his side, claims he's been stabbed. Chaos erupts, servers drop trays, guests scatter, and emergency lights bathe the room in crimson. Martin kneels beside Vernon, but the mystery Mangoni. Vernon gasps a name, Samuel, and Martin's veins freeze, for Samuel was the older boy who dragged him into that alley all those years ago, the boy who told him silence keeps you safe. Sirens wail, Derek's fire rig screeches to the curb, Ashley's car a block behind. She watches as Derek leaps into triage mode, commanding paramedics, oblivious to her presence, and she wonders if this life and death adrenaline is the mistress he can never rival. Madison rushes toward the scene, Chelsea at her heels, but a security guard blocks them, ordering civilians back. Madison's surgical instincts revolt. Chelsea grabs her hand, whispers that the wounded man is in good hands, even if Madison's heart protests. As Vernon is lifted onto a gurney, he fixes Martin with a fevered stare, murmuring that Samuel wants payment, that Martin's debt is due. The words slam into Martin like shrapnel. He staggers, barely catching the railing. Nicole Richardson calls again, voice urgent, sensed something was wrong, a mother's intuition, but Martin's reply is strangled by siren howl. He sees Ashley across the foyer, sees fear and determination in equal measure. Their eyes lock, two strangers suddenly bonded by the understanding that secrets, once set ablaze, can engulf everyone. The episode barrels toward its cliffhanger, emergency doors swing wide, and a figure in a soot-stained overcoat appears to Mule, the Phantom come to flesh. His gaze landing on Martin with predatory certainty. Police reach for holsters, guests gasp, and Samuel raises empty hands, smiling as though reunion were celebration. He announces he is surrendering for noth and promises that Martin will testify to the truth of that long-ago night or watch more blood-stained Fairmont Crest. Officers cuff him, yet Samuel's smile never falters because he knows chains cannot bind memory, and memory is the battlefield he has already mined. The camera pans across faces frozen in revelation, Martin's terror, Ashley's dawning comprehension that Derek's demons may extend beyond the firehouse. Chelsea's realization that Madison's world and therefore hers intersects this violence through Vernon's shadowy financial ties. As sirens fade and dawn threatens, the old clock above the bar strikes midnight, each chime a hammer against the fragile walls these characters built to keep yesterday contained. But yesterday has breached the gates, and as Friday's credits roll, Fairmont Crest hurtles into the weekend with secrets exposed, alliances shattered, and a promise that the flames licking at the edge of every storyline are only just beginning to roar.